Welcome to our podcast, Learn Biblical Greek, brought to you by Dr. William Stewart, the co-founder of Teleios. This captivating podcast teaches you biblical Greek through a verse-by-verse study of the book of Ephesians, interjecting Greek grammar, Greek word meanings, and vital theology concepts. Thanks for joining us on this exciting biblical journey. Your study will be more effective if you use the Greek text with the Bible word codes, either on the eSword download or Bible Hub website. These links are on our podcast website at www.teliosresearch.com.
Hi, this is William Stewart, co-founder of Teleios. Welcome back to our podcast on learning biblical Greek. Get that Greek text open. Look at our website, the resources if they're useful. Look at our disclaimer. We're in chapter 3 of Ephesians and Paul's second model prayer of this book. The first was at the end of the first chapter, and now this one exclaiming first that he wants them to know the power of God in their inner man, and now God's love. And he describes in this verse the extent of God's love, his great love that he wishes them, prays that they would know. Let's go to the text. Aina, in order to. This is an unchangeable word, always means in order to, and connects it to the prior phrase of knowing God's love. And we come to a verb, two in a row. So let's go through them as we usually do, walk through from the beginning. Is there a prefix? Yes, ek, and it's x in this case because it precedes a vowel. So for pronunciation purposes. Isku is the root to strengthen. So the x is probably acting as a strengthening prefix, as often is the case. It's the only time this verb is used. We come to the tense formative, sa, which means the aorist. Remember the punctiliar, one-time finished event case. Most common past tense verb form. But remember, it can also mean, by context, present or future tense. So be careful. But it's not sa here, it's s-eta. The lengthening of the a to eta indicates the subjunctive mood, okay? The mood of the probable as opposed to the indicative, the real world, actual. And notice there's no augment. That also tells you it's not indicative past tense, right? There's no epsilon in the front of the root. Or in this case, it would be starting with an iota, something else, but nothing indicating an augment in the front. So then we finish with te, which is the third person plural ending. That ending that tells you the number and the person. Okay, so should strengthen. Okay, in order you should strengthen. Another verb. Let's walk through it. Is there a prefix? Yes, kata. Generally means a strengthening form of the preposition or the root word generally. There is no augment, and then the root is labe. Now this comes from labano, so there's a change in the root from labano to labe. So this change in the root will indicate generally a aorist, a second aorist, okay? And in a second aorist, there is no SA tense formative. So we go right to the thigh. That indicates the passive infinitive for the middle case in the aorist. Now, in the present tense, that would be the middle or passive. But in the case of the aorist, it's just the middle because the passive takes an I in the NAI. Okay, so remember the middle tense, middle voice, we don't have this in English or any other language. It means something at the time of Christ, about this time, in reference to yourself. It might be reflexive. yourself, he self, like it was in ancient Greek times, but here it's more in reference of yourself. Okay, so katalambano, to receive in reference to yourself. With, soon. Again, it's in place, so it takes a dative, with. Passen, very common, all. That just means all. Remember the root word P-A-N-T, but you add the dative plural, like it is here, S-I or S-I-N, that sigma elites both the T and the N, giving you passen. Drives you crazy, right? But at least that's a pretty regular rule. Takes the third declension ending, of course. Next, we have a short word, T-O-I-S. So think of an article, and indeed, it's followed by a noun, the saints. They match the ending, O-I-S, dative, plural, masculine, or neuter. In this case, it's a masculine because the saints is masculine. Saints is second declension. It tells you that because the endings, OIS, match each other between the noun and the article. T, what? So this could also mean which or that. If it has an accent, it means what? A question word. My text and most Greek texts don't have the accent, so you have to determine by context. Then we have a short word, to. So you think again, article. This is the nominative, singular, neuter. Then we have 4 nouns, platos, mikos, bathos, and upsos, breadth and width and depth and height, okay, that describe the great love that Paul is praying that they would have. Now, those look like masculine singular nominatives, and they're not. Okay, all these sort of descriptions of width or size of something are neuter third declension nouns. How does that work? Well, they all in their root end in an es. So if you add the neuter ending in the third declension s, you have ess for all 4 of them. One s drops out, and then there's an ablaut, which I think in German means like from sound, ablaut, which means in English there's a change and we really don't know why. So it's a fancy way of saying I don't know, so you don't sound so stupid. So the E changes to an O, giving you the OS for all 4 of these. Wow, who knew? Okay, that's it. Again, this verse describes that Paul's desire and prayer that they would know the great extent of God's love in their Christian life. Again, good for any occasion for which, no matter what we're praying for somebody in terms of their finding a spouse or a job or inner peace or whatever. We'll continue this great prayer next time. Please join me then.